Hey everybody, I'm Adrian Bustamante and welcome back to Food Deconstructed. This holiday recipe is going to be some cranberry hand pies with mashed potato dough and also a little bit of turkey gravy to drizzle over the top. So the first thing we're going to start is we're going to make our own dough, and it's really simple. We're going to take about 3/4 cup of flour here, a little bit of baking soda, and a little bit of nutmeg. And we're going to whisk these together just to make sure they're kind of just mixed up with each other. We're going to be using a stand mixer today to mix in our butter and mashed potatoes as well. Now, the mashed potatoes is going to be used more as a binding agent, a little bit of flavor as well, kind of a, like I said, twist onto this fun recipe. And here we go. We're going to grab our 1/4 cup of butter or half of a stick and our mashed potatoes. Throw this in here. It's only about 2 potatoes worth of mashed potatoes, and I'm going to kind of roll these in as this thing mixes. As you see that butter start mixing in, we're just going to take our mashed potatoes, slowly incorporate them. Now, it's not going to take very long for all this to mix together. You'll start seeing chunks come together, almost like a coarse little meal type texture. Almost like a yellowish tinge will start to appear when you know it's just about done. Kind of speed it up just a little bit more here, now that the flour is kind of all mixed together. Now you want to make sure you're not overworking it. If you overwork your dough, it's going to become very tough and oily, and we're not making a bread, we're making a dough. So I'm going to kind of bring this open a little bit and see if it's just about ready. And yeah, it's looking good. We're actually going to chill our dough before we take it back out and roll it. Now, chilling it will make it easier to roll, as well as the liquid that's in the mashed potatoes will get a chance to actually absorb into this dough a little bit more to hold everything that much easier together. So I'm going to take it and put it in the refrigerator for a little bit. So my dough is set to chill, and we are going to get started on our cranberry filling. This is really easy. All of our ingredients, or the kids, are all going to get in the pool together. So we have our cranberries, our sugar, cinnamon stick, and our red wine. So really simple. Like I said, everything goes in together. We got our sugar to make sure you don't have a bitter cranberry sauce, cinnamon stick, a little bit of red wine, and of course, 4 ounces of water. Now, it's really simple. There's not a whole lot you have to do after that. You're gonna let it heat. All this stuff's gonna kind of come together and reduce a little bit. Actually, reduce a lot of it because you're gonna want a cranberry sauce, not a cranberry juice. So we're gonna let this come to a boil now. Now, you'll start seeing the cranberries kind of almost start to pop a little bit. When that happens, bring it down to a simmer. We're gonna cook that for about another 20 minutes or so. All right, this is looking like it's just about getting ready to be done, so I'm gonna grab my dough out of the refrigerator. Now, my cutting board, I'm gonna take some flour, just place it all over the board here. Make sure that rolling this dough out is gonna be a little bit easier so it won't stick to my board. And I'm gonna put a little bit on my hands as well, make it easier to pull out of this bowl. Should just come out and fairly easy from being in that refrigerator. I'm gonna put some flour over the top of it so again it doesn't stick to my rolling pin. A little bit on my rolling pin as well. And just kind of roll it out. You wanna have about a 1/4 inch thick to be able to get enough hand pies, just have that good, nice thickness when you're biting into it a little bit later. You can just smell the mashed potatoes coming out of this dough. It's really crazy. I'm gonna cut almost Pop-Tart size squares out of my dough. We're gonna start now by doing a little quick egg wash to make sure I can bind both the top and the bottom of my hand pies together, as well as to give it that nice little brown, crispy look when it's all done. So I'm gonna take my egg, I'm gonna put a little bit of cream inside, and I'm gonna just do it a quick little mix. Good. Now I'm gonna take each little hand pie, which should just come off my cutting board nice and easy, and put it on my baking sheet here. I'm gonna be able to get about 5 on there. Take my little brush, dip it in the egg wash here, and I'm just gonna go over the whole bottom. Once you have all the egg wash on the bottom piece, we're gonna grab our cranberry filling and just put a little bit in the center of each one. Now you want to make sure you're not overfilling it, because what's going to happen is you're going to be able to maybe cover it with that top piece, but once it gets popped in the oven, you're just going to have cranberries exploding everywhere. So just enough to kind of get a good little dab in the center. Now the good thing about these hand pies is you can use whatever holiday filling you want. So if you like apples, you can just turn to apples. If you like pumpkin, you can make this a pumpkin filling. So if you have a preference, go for it. So now we're gonna take our tops and we're gonna start covering each of our hand pies. If for some reason you see that your tops or your bottoms are sticking more to your cutting board, the easiest thing to do is just take a little bit of flour, take it over the top of whatever you're using to scrape it, and just slide it underneath. It should come off nice and easy. All right, now we're gonna put a little egg wash over the top. So again, with the crimping, you're just gonna take your fork, rub it right along the edge here. If you need to, just make sure you just throw maybe a little bit of flour along the edge of the hand pie, just to make it a little bit easier on you and your fork. And then we're gonna go with the steam hole here. All right, now I'm gonna crimp the rest of these and I'm gonna throw them in the oven, about 350 degrees for roughly about 15 minutes or so. And we will get ready on the turkey gravy. All right, those are in the oven. So now it's time to get started on our gravy. Really simple way to make some easy gravy at home. We're gonna use some turkey in our gravy, but obviously you can use whatever meat you like, but turkey for me is one of the best gravies around. So we're gonna take our half a stick of butter, let that kind of coat around. Let's add some onion. I'm gonna cook these down with the garlic as well. Now I'm gonna let the onion and the garlic get a chance to cook by themselves for a little bit. Let the onions saute and get a little more translucent. All right, those are cooked down, so let us throw the smoked turkey in there. All right, throw some sage, roughly about 1.5 teaspoons, and then about 1 teaspoon of thyme, just to add those holiday smells to your dish. Put just a little bit of salt in now, as I'll put a little bit of salt in later, as well as some pepper. All right, that looks good. Now we've kind of cooked this down until you see a lot of oil or the drippings from the smoked turkey kind of sitting in the pan, because we're going to want that mixed in for our gravy. Now we're going to add our flour, and we're going to make sure we're whisking while we add that to it. And you want to whisk all of that flour into what we have here. The reason you want to is you want to make sure you kind of get that floury taste out of everything. So once that's whisked in, we're going to add some of our stock. And you should see it start to thicken up, or a little bit already, but it may need some time. You can add a little more stock if you want a little more gravy. We are good there. All right, I got my hand pie out of the oven. My gravy is just about done. So we're gonna plate this. I'm gonna see how good this is. Just gonna put this over the top of my hand pie. All right. Very sweet and savory, definitely what I was hoping for. That sweet cranberry comes through and that nice crispy dough texture. And then you're hit with all of a sudden that savory gravy, smoked turkey flavor with like those aromatics, that sage and that thyme just coming through, giving you those holiday flavors. This is 100% a holiday dish. And up next is gonna be our turkey skin nachos as seen on Access Hollywood Live.